San Diego, a city of light, motion, and endless sky. On a normal night, this view from above feels peaceful. Planes tracing ribbons of light. Pilots working in rhythm with air traffic control. Everything in balance. But not tonight. Tonight, one small plane, just another blip on the radar, was about to break that balance. And what followed, a series of moments that, if you listen carefully, feel like warnings. Warnings that went unheard until it was too late. This is the story of November 4th Bravo Alpha, a Grumman AA-5 Tiger, a lightweight two-seat aircraft. Quiet, simple, but in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even a small aircraft can stir up a storm. Let's go back to that night. The pilot of 4 Bravo Alpha is out there, trying to navigate a sky that's suddenly less friendly than it looked on the ground. Clouds hanging low, visibility shrinking, and around him, bigger jets. Faster, heavier, with pilots who are starting to sound uneasy themselves. And then you hear it, the voice of an American Airlines pilot crackling over the radio, clear but tense. Looking at the cloud coverage ahead, do you think someone will be able to make it in VFR? It's such a simple question. But when you hear it in that moment, you know something's not right. The controller doesn't sugarcoat it. It'll be tight. I doubt it. Even the big iron, the commercial jets, are questioning whether they can get in safely under visual flight rules. Now imagine you're the pilot of that small Grumman. You're out there too, threading through that same sky, realizing fast that it's not going to be as simple as you hoped. And that's when he makes the call. The smart call. The call that says, I'm not going to risk it. Request to go IFR then. So, ATC begins to work him in, but here's where the picture starts to blur. You can feel the airspace tightening. Instructions are coming in quick. Fly heading 270 at or above 6,500. Turn left 180. Now right 290. Join the localizer. On the radio, it all sounds routine. But sit in that cockpit for a second. Imagine juggling those headings, altitudes, and frequencies while the weather presses down, and the city lights are no longer as clear or as comforting as they seem from the ground. And this is just the beginning, the start of a chain of moments where every small detail, every radio call, every hesitation begins to matter. The pilot of 4 Bravo Alpha is now under instrument flight rules, IFR, and for a moment, you might think the danger is past. He's in the system. The controllers are guiding him. But sometimes it's not about getting clearance. It's about keeping up. The instructions start coming fast, maybe too fast. Descend and maintain 6,500. Now descend to 5,000. Vector for final. Turn right 290. Join the localizer. The pilot responds. Steady, but you can almost sense it. That undercurrent of strain. The airspace around San Diego is tight. Commercial jets are stacked in one after the other. A 737 is close behind him, and that means ATC needs 4 Bravo Alpha to move quickly. Best forward speed. The controller says, trying to keep the flow smooth, because right behind the small Grumman is a much bigger aircraft, and speed is life in a busy pattern like this. But think about what's really happening here. The pilot is trying to hold altitudes, dial in new headings, intercept the localizer, keep the plane steady in worsening conditions, and now he's being asked to do it faster. The tension is rising in the cockpit, and out here, above the city, there's nowhere to pull over, nowhere to pause and breathe. Then comes the warning. Low altitude alert for Bravo Alpha. If you've ever flown or even listened to these calls, you know what that means. It's not just a reminder. It's not routine. That alert is the system's way of saying, you're getting too close to terrain. Imagine being that pilot in that moment. You've been juggling instructions, trying to keep pace, battling the weather, and now, the one thing you can't ignore, the one sound that makes your heart race. The pilot keys a mic, calm as he can manage. I have the field in sight. Relief? Maybe for a second. Because seeing the field means you're close. It means you're almost there, but close isn't safe. And almost isn't enough. Down below, San Diego's runway stretches out. But with the low clouds and the glare of city lights, depth perception can play tricks. Altitude can feel deceptive. The margin for error shrinks with every second. And yet, somehow, for Bravo Alpha makes it. The tires touch down. The runway is beneath him. But here's the thing about aviation. Just because the wheels are on the ground doesn't mean the danger is over. What happens next is as telling as anything that happened in the air. The pilot taxis off, but confusion follows. Instructions are missed. The plane crosses where it shouldn't. And those calm voices on the radio? They change just slightly. Just enough to tell you, something's still not right. The wheels of 4 Bravo Alpha finally meet the runway. And for a brief moment, it feels like the danger has passed. The city lights glisten off the wet tarmac, the hum of the engine softens, and you might think the tension that built up in the air would now fade. But instead, what happens next quietly unravels the illusion of safety. Because sometimes in aviation, the most dangerous moments aren't just in the air. They're after the wheels are on the ground, when minds are tired, focus slips, and the choreography of the airport begins to break down. The pilot is given instructions that, to any experienced aviator, are crystal clear. Taxi via Bravo Alpha, Alpha 2, hold short runway 27 at Bravo 4. It's a simple, direct path, a route designed to keep the small Grumman safely out of the way of other traffic, weaving through controlled chaos of one of America's busiest airports. But on this night, whether from stress, exhaustion, or simply a momentary lapse, the pilot of 4 Bravo Alpha doesn't follow that path. He misses his turn. He crosses into areas he wasn't cleared for. And this is when the tone and the voices on the radio changes. The calm confidence of ground control becomes edged with concern. You can hear it, even through professionalism. You're going through the apron. You're not supposed to be there. Picture it. A small plane, its taxi lights glowing, straying onto parts of the airfield meant for service vehicles and parked aircraft. The airfield lights stretch in confusing patterns. The signs on the ground blur together in the low light and haze. And suddenly, the carefully managed flow of airport traffic is disturbed. Controllers, used to keeping the big picture in their heads, now have to deal with the unexpected, a plane where it shouldn't be, creating new risks where none should exist. But it doesn't end with just a verbal correction. The situation has become concerning enough that ground calls operations. Their words on the surface sound routine, but beneath them lies something more troubling. There's a conquest for Bravo Alpha that went into signature but turned off Hotel Down Juliet and went through the apron area. You might want to go check for lights and go talk to them. And this is where the twist of the story truly hits. Because this wasn't the night of the crash. This wasn't the moment that made headlines. This was the night before. The night before 4 Bravo Alpha would crash near San Diego, ending in tragedy. Everything that happened, the altitude warnings, the rush instructions, the missteps on the taxiway, they weren't isolated. They were signs, clues, a chain of small errors and decisions that, together, pointed to a deeper problem. And yet, like so many times in aviation history, those signs passed unnoticed, lost in the busyness of a crowded airspace and a long shift. This is what haunts us, the idea that tragedy rarely strikes without warning. We just don't always see the warnings until it's too late. And so, we're left with the hard questions. Could this have been prevented? Were these the last chances to change the outcome? What could have been done differently? If this story moved you or made you think, I invite you to share it. Share it with someone who flies, someone who listens to those calm voices on the radio, and trusts they'll always get home safe. Drop a comment. Do you believe these moments were preventable? Was this just bad luck or a series of overlooked warning signs? And if you want to see the full animation of 4 Bravo Alpha's final flight, the route the ATC calls, the last moments before impact, hit like, subscribe, and join me in the next video. Together, let's learn from the stories the sky tries to tell us before it's too late.